as I was reflecting on all the multitude of non-motor symptoms that can affect a person with Parkinson's disease, sleep disorders ranked among the top that I wanted to talk about next because it affects up to 75% of those living with Parkinson's disease. And it's an important non-motor symptom to talk about at that. So what I'd like to do is to set you up the expectation of what's going to come in this video as well as the next ones we're doing in this series, because I want to make this bite-sized and not a huge, long, drawn-out video talking about all the potential issues that can happen with sleep. Primarily, I wanted to let you know what the primary sleep disorders are that we tend to see in persons with Parkinson's disease, as well as to talk about tips for better sleep hygiene. And in this video in particular, I'm going to give you 5 tips to improve sleep hygiene and to give you better chances of sleeping at night, or to sleeping better at night. So let's dive right in. What are the primary sleep disorders? So we tend to see insomnia, first of all, the inability to fall asleep or once awakened at night to fall back asleep. Number 2, we tend to see problems with what we call excessive daytime sleepiness, or EDS. Sorry, I kind of stumbled on my words there. The third one is REM sleep behavioral disorder. And in addition to that, we also have restless leg syndrome and nocturia, or frequency of urinating at night. So those are several different issues we could talk about in different videos. In this video, as I promised, we're going to talk about 5 tips to improving your sleep that you can try to implement right away. The first one is to try to set your bedtime to be the same every single night. And keep your bedtime in mind with what time you want to wake up, because you want to try to spend at least 7 to 8 hours in bed so that you can maximize the chance of getting sleep while you're there. But the number one thing in that tip is to make it a routine so that your body and your brain can adjust to that rhythm and you're used to that time and you're expecting it. The second thing is to be sure to exercise on a daily basis if possible, because exercise is going to help predispose you to sleep, not only with brain chemistry, but also physically fatiguing to the point where you're going to want to sleep when you get to bed at night. Now, the one thing to be cautious about with exercise is you don't want to exercise really close to bedtime. I've seen a lot of different numbers on the time, up to 6 hours in some cases, but what I would recommend as a physical therapist is to basically, if you're going to exercise later in the day, try not to do it any later than dinner time, or basically between lunch and dinner time. But honestly, if you can do it in the morning, that's probably the best time. The third tip is going to be limiting naps to no more than 40 to 45 minutes. And if possible, one nap. If you really have to do it more than once, still, just try to limit that time to 40 to 45 minutes, because the more you sleep during the daytime, the less chance that there is that you're going to be able to fall asleep at night. Fourth tip is going to be to avoid any screen time if you can. So looking at your cell phone, scrolling through Facebook, checking emails, watching television. There's a multitude of reasons why that's important. Number one, blue light tends to waken your brain up versus set you up for sleep. The other thing is, depending on what you're looking at, it can stimulate you to continue ruminating on certain thoughts. It could cause anxiety or worry if you're watching the news or scrolling through Facebook and seeing things that maybe get your ire up a little bit, especially during election years. Anyway, all those things being said, it's really just best to avoid screen time within a couple hours of bedtime. And finally, you want to minimize drinking any liquids up to 3 hours before bedtime. The more you hold liquids back at that point of the day, the less likely you are to wake up during the night to have to go to the bathroom. And to kind of piggyback on that, you don't want to wait too long to go to the bathroom before bed. I guess what I mean by that is you want to go to the bathroom right before you go to sleep in the evening. That way you're empty right before going to sleep, so you're not going to have to wake up right after going to bed or within that first hour as you're trying to fall asleep. And as a side note, the sleep cycle tends to take about 90 minutes to take effect. So to actually go into full sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, all that, it takes about 90 minutes to go through that. So if you're waking up within an hour of bedtime, you're really not truly fully asleep. and it can actually mess you up as you're trying to go back to sleep later. But that's it for this video. I hope you found that helpful, and let me know in the comments what you thought. Leave a like for the video, and share please with others, and look forward to our next videos discussing the other sleep disorders, as well as some other tips potentially for improving sleep at night. Thanks, and as always, be empowered.